Okay, today we are playing a game on Volskaya Industries. We will be playing Winston on attack and Reinhardt on defense, and this was a competitive game, but it was a placement game, so who knows what the SR was up to. Our current team composition is Winston, Roadhog, Junkrat, McCree, Genji, and Mercy. So we only have one healer. Whatever. It's Mercy, the only healer that's actually in the game right now anyway, so it all checks out in the end. So let's just start the game. So we are attacking first, and this is not a terribly long game, as you might have noticed. So there's two ways it can go, and you can bet on which one it is you think it is right now. So this is not the best use of resources, because you put your bubble down like out here, and it doesn't really do anything ever when a Winston puts their bubble down, like kind of just in the choke point, because Winston's bubble is only 600 HP. It's kind of like whatever. But it has quite a long cooldown, and you actually need the bubble if you're going to go in and try to make any plays, so not having the bubble, it makes things rather difficult. Bubble does actually just about save us, seeing as we got frozen in front of the enemy team by the Mei that they have, which we knew they had since the wall happened. Mei did indeed die, but Mercy's in the game, so it didn't actually amount to anything at all. So we're kind of low right now, we need healing, we're looking Mercy dead in the eye. Do a lot of, like, cutting in front of the choke point, which is not generally a great idea, but Mei was making it hard for them anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. And this kind of just all works out. Like, Roadhog just kind of kills the entire enemy team, with the exception of this Junkrat, who is the only one still alive. Mercy used Valkyrie, which is a drastic overuse of company resources because nothing's happening. So we went in, we picked a fight, and then Roadhog killed a bunch of people, so we get to just capture the point. That's how the game works, basically. So we sit up here, and Junkrat's, like, around somewhere. He's dead now. Don't have to worry about it. We sit around up here, and I wouldn't sit around up there just because the enemy team tends to not come that way. And, like, we can reposition down here quickly if we have to, but I'm of the mind that if you're gonna stand somewhere, like, in case something happens, you should stand at the more likely place, which is, like, over here, and then we can try and body block someone who's just rushing to the point. And then if someone does take the longer route up the staircase, we can jump up to them. Either way, it doesn't end up mattering, because, I mean, we were gonna capture the point, weren't we? It was going to happen. So now we have to take the second point on Volskaya Industries, which is much, much harder. I find it's very common for a team to capture the first point within like a minute or two, and then spend 6 minutes not doing anything at the second checkpoint on Volskaya. And yet I still think this is one of the probably the best balanced 2 CP map in the entire game. And that's like what happens, and that should tell you something about what I think about the other 2 CP maps, like Horizon. So we've almost got Primal Rage, which is meh, but we almost have it. So we jump straight onto their backline and start tasing. We've got Primal Rage built up. We use it kinda early because we're still mostly full HP. We do, like, snap their Mercy's neck, which feels really good, but would have saved it just, like, a little bit longer because we were still mostly full HP at the time. We could get, like, a little bit more value out of it. But we jumped on the Mercy. We ended up killing the Mercy. That's the important thing. Then we step on Junkrat's trap and get pinned. We were just using Primal Rage, so it's hard to keep track of things in Primal Rage. I really wish that it was a third-person camera in Primal Rage, because is it hard to keep track of what's happening in the first-person view when you're using Primal Rage. So because we were using Primal Rage, it's not exactly surprising we would miss a Junkrat trap and then end up jumping back onto it. And then what can you do? So now this is something that, like, really stood out to me when I was watching this earlier, because I'm just like, why did we do this, right? And it occurs to me this is something I've never really said, but, like, what's the objective here, right? Like, McCree's dead right now, we're still regrouping, so, like, this is never gonna do anything, so what do we gain from doing this? This is an important question to ask yourself whenever you're doing most things in life, but especially when you're playing like a video game. What does this get us? We tase Reinhardt a little bit. It's never going to amount to a kill, Because it's just not conceivable. Like, our team's not in any position, he's next to his whole team, it's not gonna work. So what do we get? We tase him a little bit, and so we get like 6% ult charge off of him, and that's it. And that's all we're ever gonna get. We're never gonna get a kill out of that, nothing's ever gonna happen out of it, so like, what's the point, right? We don't gain anything from it, really, because we gain a little bit of charge on an ultimate that's not really that good. And we trade our bubble for it, which is the most important cooldown Winston has. And we give them more ult charge because they get to shoot at us, and they get to heal up the inconsequential damage we've done. So, like, we don't gain anything for doing it, but, like, we give them stuff for it, right? It's important to ask yourself, why am I doing this? What am I expecting to get from this? What's the end game? How does doing this benefit me? That doesn't benefit us at all, really. It benefits them more than it benefits us, and it's not like we're ever gonna get anything out of it. We also risk getting picked off, right? Like, because we do that when our team's not really all together, like, we risk dying for doing it. So it's like, decent risk with extraordinarily low reward. It's important to think about, like, why am I doing this? What do I expect to gain out of doing this? And the answer there was not very much. It's important to think about that. And it occurs to me I've never really actually said that, but it's like kind of important to think about what do I gain? If the answer is I don't really gain anything, you probably shouldn't be doing it. So we jump in here. We jump in slightly too early, and we don't have our bubble up when we jump in. And we also jumped directly onto the Reinhardt as well, so that's a problem. We see Mercy disappearing away. And it all falls apart very quickly after that point. I think we get rezzed. Yes, we do get rezzed. Okay. So we get to just start fighting again. So even though we made the mistake, it doesn't matter because Mercy's in the game, right? So I don't think that one requires 2 minutes explanation as to why it was bad. So Genji had Dragon Blade, and we helped him kill a bunch of people. So we get to capture the point. You don't always have to do that much, it turns out, to actually get so. It's just you have to be okay, and somebody else can just do most of the work, and that's good enough in a lot of cases. As in, the first point where, Roadhog killed, 4 people, and we were there, and we helped it happen, but, Roadhog killed, 4 people. And then it's well, we were there when Genji used Dragon Blade, and we helped Genji use the Dragon Blade, but, Genji used the Dragon Blade, and that killed people. It's not always that you have to carry. Sometimes it's just that you have to facilitate someone else carrying. Someone, nailed this the other day. I saw this thread somewhere, and someone, nailed this. They were what do you do if your team is, constantly trickling in and staggering themselves, and, it's solo queue game, everybody's on their own. What do you do? As a support, specifically, I should clarify. And someone was find the best player on your team and just help him. Just focus on that dude. If he dies, just wait for him to be back. Just make sure he doesn't die. And, try to just focus on him because he's the best player on your team. So just help him. And then, hopefully the rest all works itself out. It's yeah, that's what you should do. It's not always about being the best. Sometimes it's about help. Sometimes, you're not going to be the best. That's just how it is. Sometimes it's about facilitating the person who is the best. And this is what usually playing a support is all about. Fun fact, I played League of Legends for a really long time, still occasionally play it. My favorite role to play was support, actually. Because all the support heroes are really cool. They don't get any of the recognition, but a lot of them were, really good at facilitating other people, and that was very rewarding for me, making somebody, this person's, okay, or decent, and then you just, amplify that person, right? I find that to be quite rewarding, actually. I quite enjoy playing support heroes for that reason. Sometimes it's about facilitating other people. It's not always going to be you that carries the game. And in fact, part of the skill of competitive games sometimes is recognizing I'm not actually doing very much this game, but this guy is, out of control right now, so I should just be helping him, right? Maybe, alright, there again, I'm not doing that well. We got a Genji on our team, and he's doing great. But now they've got, like, a Winston because they're trying to counter the Genji. But the Genji's carrying. So, maybe I say to myself, okay, I'm gonna pick Roadhog or Reaper so that I can kill the Winston, who's gonna give the Genji, who's carrying me, trouble right now, and then it just makes it easier for him to carry the game. Sometimes that's part of the skill of a competitive game. Horrifically long-winded tangent, but this is a pretty short game, and not that much happens in it, so I'm fine, not so bothered about going off on these long-winded tangents. He said like he was ever really that bothered about doing it. So, Roadhog over here doing a great job of trying to kill himself. That was not a good idea to do that charge, and it looked like we immediately realized it because we tried to pivot into the wall as hard as we could. They do have a Roadhog, so it's very risky. I could have quite easily died for that one. The charge button is not to be trusted. So we see up in the kill feed that Tracer has killed Torbjorn and then immediately died to Torbjorn because he's a projectile hero, so that's always very funny to me. And now, right, Mercy's in the game, so Tracer didn't really work out very well for her. So this shouldn't really work. And it doesn't quite work, because that happens, which is very unfortunate. That's happened to me, where I've been like, I'm gonna pin this guy, and then I just happen to glide all the way to the end. I'm like, oh, that didn't feel very good. So, like, clearly this was part of the plan, but like, if we didn't pin this Roadhog, this would have been terrible, right? Like, this would have been disastrous if we just, like, skated off and didn't take the Roadhog with us. Because then we, the main tank, have left our team behind at the gate, and we didn't even get the person we were trying to get. We could have just tried to hit the dude, right? Like, we didn't need to go for the pin, and then, like, the same thing probably happens if we just hit him, where we did probably still kill him anyway, because he got hooked by our Roadhog. But there isn't the risk that if we fuck it up, we might end up losing the choke point because we fucked it up, right?
Tracer's on our side.
Probably in the end doesn't matter that much, but it can matter. So, here's Tracer. Not a lot we can do about this as Reinhardt because it's Tracer. We've been, in general, this whole thing kind of happened where, like, we went off fighting we were off with the Roadhog, and then we came back over here, and we're trying to get the Pharah, and we, like, way overthink it as well, because we're trying to anticipate her there, but then we, like, charge off to get the health kit. Like, we can just hit her. Like, there's no need to get that fancy with it. We could have just, like, gone over and started bashing her in the skull, and she would have died, right? And then we could just, like, stand in the doorway as well, right? Don't forget, tanks are big, and enemies can't walk through you. So, if you're playing a tank and you're in that kind of position, you can just, like, stand in the doorway. And if she tries to get past you, she can't. And then you hit her. We, like, way overthink it, and that, like, kind of leads to Pharah getting away. She dies in the end anyway, like, so, whatever, but, like, it can matter. And then we end up fighting this Tracer, who we're not good at fighting, because it's Tracer and we're Reinhardt, when really we should just, like, be over here, honestly. Just, like, trying to block for people, because, like, we can't deal with the Tracer, and we kind of try, but, like, we should have just come back over here, because, like, this is where we need to be, because we're the shield, you know? We need to be helping these people with our shield. So, they have a Symmetra also, of course, which is, you know, an interesting strategical choice on their side. There's something to it, though, right? There's something to it. Here's something people don't ever want to do, but is surprisingly good, right? Suppose the enemy team, I'm gonna ratchet this up to, like, maximum absurdity just to get the point across, like, so just bear in mind this is gonna be hyperbole, but, like, there are situations where this is correct. Imagine the enemy team is, like, Bastion, Winston, Reinhardt, Orisa, right? And then, like, a Mercy and an Ana or something, right? This is the ridiculous part. I was like, one Bastion, and then, like, solely focused on the Bastion. But, like, imagine just you're playing against a team, and it's got, like, a Bastion, and you're attacking. They got a Bastion, something like that, Torbjorn, whatever, and he's behind a fucking lot of shields. Symmetra's balls go through shields. And they do a lot of fucking damage, right? Like, the Symmetra just sits there throwing balls through the shields at the Bastion and the Torbjorn. That's really fucking annoying, actually. And that actually makes it really hard for that to work, because the Bastion is constantly getting hit by things that the shields can't block. And also, Symmetra's shield is, like, surprisingly annoying. You just, like, throw it at the Bastion. It's a surprisingly tanky shield. There are times when switching to Symmetra on attack is honestly the best thing you can do, because her orbs do a lot of damage, and shields don't block them. It's worth thinking about it. It works. It works. So, it's something, there's something to it. Before you scoff at the people that pick Symmetra on attack, like like most things, it has its place. So, we almost have Earth Shatter. We have Earth Shatter. We had 99%. We had Earth Shatter. So, right here, we're being hesitant to come up and like, oh, look, you see this Symmetra balls coming in at this Bastion? Oh, we can't really do that much about that, can we? But we should be up and, like, moving up to block for the Bastion sooner, because we're kind of, like, hovering back a little bit. We need to be, like, blocking for that dude, and we kind of hesitate. See, these Symmetra orbs, though. They did a lot of damage to that Bastion. We can't actually stop that. But we should have, like, moved up to protect him, because we were playing rather pensively for a while. It's surprisingly annoying. So there's a Tracer back here, and this is not really our area. Like, we shouldn't be the one coming back to try and deal with this, because it is at best pointless, and at worst actively detrimental, because we're our team's main tank. So we kind of need to be actually, like, over with our team, blocking for them. And that's just, like, not our place. Like, we're never gonna deal with a Tracer as Reinhardt, right? It's not our job. We should be focusing on, like, what we're good at before we try and do something that, like, we have basically no way of helping with, right? And, like, we leave our team behind. Nothing ever really comes of it because the enemy team's quite bad. But, right, we should be over there with them, not trying to deal with the Tracer who is outside of our area as Reinhardt. So we have Earth Shatter. And there's not that much time left in this game, actually. It's not unimaginable that this Earth Shatter is all it takes to win the game at this point. Again, the charge is unnecessary, and probably, like, if he just moves to the side, it ends up being very sad, and then you might end up leaving people behind with the Roadhog, and then they get killed. It's unnecessary. You could just be hitting the dude, right?
Don't let Roadhog kill
so,
me.
Over here we see don't let Roadhog hook me. We should be, like, going over to this dude, because, like, this Roadhog is never gonna shoot at you in this position, right? Like, yeah, we're at half HP, that's kind of scary. He's never gonna shoot at you, because Bastion's there. He's more concerned with that. So we should, as soon as we see him going towards the Bastion, we should take down our shield and try to get over to block for the Bastion. Because that's always gonna be who he targets. It's never gonna be us. So, then we use Earth Shatter. We hit a bunch of people with it. Our team, like, way overreacts and, like, used a Dragon Blade and tank for a configuration tank, and, like, she did that. That's bad. Our team, like, way overreacts, and we used a bunch of ultimates, but, like, that was a pretty good time to use Earth Shatter. But then our team, like, way overreacted and used a bunch of resources we didn't need to use as well, so. But now, they're also deciding that they're gonna come in, like, 1 by 1 and 2 by 2. So, it's not gonna be an issue. They're probably really tilted because they had a Symmetra on their team. Even though it's not actually that bad because we had, like, this super static defense team. And now we will slowly hit everyone until they are all dead, and we will win the game. And it was not very close, nor did it ever feel like we were going to lose. That was very unfortunate, but we did at least pin the D.Va before it happened.
Both tanks are back. Hallelujah.
It takes a while, you know how these things can be. But we win. Trust me. Like, we're gonna chase this Tracer, and, we're not gonna hit the Tracer much because we're playing Reinhardt. It's just how things are. But eventually we're gonna hit them all. Now they've got a Bastion. We pushed the charge button, I can see it. We're not allowed to do that. But also, we were going to die regardless, so it probably didn't matter in the end. But we weren't allowed to do that. Now we have their Shatter again. We use it. We hit them all. Finally, we will scrape them off the point. Like, look, they were never gonna win. We just have to go through the rigmarole of actually getting them off. You know how it is. Especially on 2CP maps. So, let's watch the play of the game. It was Roadhog. Oh yeah, that's when we... Wow, he really does just, like, walk in and left-click people in the face, doesn't he? Oh, he didn't have his hook to save that person. That's sad. He really did just, like, walk up to someone and just, like, bang. And then, like, was surprisingly just that straightforward. I always think that that far one is, like, kind of a gimme in a lot of cases, actually. Like, I've had games where I got, like, 60 direct rocket hits, but, like, why do you not have the damage medal by that point, honestly? You know, I always think it's kind of, like, a little bit weird to get the direct hits one. Because it always seems like it should end up giving you a different medal, rather than direct hits. It's a little odd. Mercy did a lot of healing, but she was the only healer on our team, so it's not surprising that she did that. So not that much really stood out in this game, honestly. It wasn't, like, ever... I don't think it was ever really a game that we looked like we were going to lose, and we didn't really have to do that much, because a lot of people on our team were, like, doing really well anyway. And sometimes that's all it takes. I pushed, like, a button, like, in the center of my keyboard, and it did that, and it was very odd. Yeah, not much happened. Never really felt like we were gonna lose. Not that much stands out. Be a little bit more cautious as Winston, probably, because, like, we jump in, like, way, like, ahead of schedule on the wrong person, and then there's, like, the time we're tasing Reinhardt, and it's like, we're not really ever gonna gain anything out of doing that. But, like, nothing super huge really stands out. Mostly, this was just an excuse to kind of talk about whatever took my fancy. So thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer, and I hope you found the video helpful.